What's going on, everybody? So, everyone knows that the Rkelly trial at this point is coming to a close. It probably has already been handed over to the jury, or we're at the point where it's going to be handed over to the jury. So, I thought I'd hop on here at 11:59 p.m. and just give you guys my take on this whole trial and what I think is going to happen before I go to bed, right? So, I think R. Kelly is going to walk. Now, when I say he's going to walk, I'm talking about the case or the trial in the Federal District of New York. Everyone knows he has lots of trials to go. He has the case in Illinois, the Federal District of Illinois. Then he also has a case in the state of Illinois. Then there's also the possibility, or rumor has it, that Minnesota or some other state is going to try to hit him with a possible crime. And that could be other states that would come out the bandwagon, right? Not to mention all the civil litigation, right? So we all know all that stuff is still on the table, but we're talking about right now the federal case in New York. And I believe, I could be wrong. And I want you guys to keep me honest on this, to check me on this, right? If you believe differently, and I believe that he's going to walk, I think he's going to walk. I think he's going to moonwalk up out of that court, to be honest with you, right? And if you think I'm wrong, or if you think I'm mistaken, or you think I'm crazy, go ahead and call me out. Comments below. Now, when I say he's going to walk, I say this for several reasons. I'm not just talking out the side of my head, right? So I got some talking points over here, and I'm going to see if I can keep myself organized. But I'm saying this for several reasons, and I'm going to go through these talking points, right? So the first reason that I think he's going to walk is because the alleged victims lied, right? They have credibility issues, right? And when you look at the first witness that came out on the trial, she right away came out and she admitted to lying. And she lied about some pretty important stuff. We're talking about her age. And this man is on trial because he's alleged to have been dealing with people that were not of age. And here you have this lady lying about her age. And because R. Kelly took the bait, now he has to basically go to court to have his life put on the line because she lied, right? So that's the first thing. There's a morality issue, and then there's also a credibility issue, right? So she's not credible. She's a known liar, right? Then you look at Ezreal Clary. Ezreal lied, right? So she went to and this is all facts, right? Everything I'm telling you is facts. You can go to other YouTube channels and check it out, or you can look at the transcript reading that I've started, and I plan to finish. I'm not going to finish all the transcripts, but I'm going to finish what I started. But in the transcripts that I've started, you can see that Ezreal Clary comes out and she tells the jurors that she lied about her age and that she met R. Kelly at an adult concert. She met R. Kelly at the Black Panties tour. And R. Kelly gave her a black pair of panties, and he gave her his phone number, right? So you have that whole thing where she's lying about her age, and she's in this adult venue, right? She's in this adult venue, and she's trying to get with R. Kelly, right? So that's all facts, and that's all in the transcript readings that I have on this channel. I'll try to put it at the end of this channel. It should just pop up, right? So Ezreal lied. And not only did Ezreal lie, her mother, Ezreal's mother, in my personal opinion, from reading the transcript, she was deceitful, right? Because according to Ezreal, words coming out of her own mouth, her mother basically hopped on the phone and she started texting R. Kelly, and she was pretending to be Ezreal. I'm sorry. She was pretending to be Ezreal. So you have this situation where you have these alleged victims lying about their age, and their parents knew about the relationship with R. Kelly, and basically they at the time were happy with the relationships they were in. Right? You only have this whole thing blowing up, or you only have this court situation because there's nothing more for them to get out of R. Kelly. So now they're trying to see how they can profit off him. And I'm going to get to that in a second. But you have to ask, are these truly victims? If they lied about their age, they were happy with the relationship, and the mother knew or the parents knew about the relationship, are these people really victims? And that's actually a question that I asked the lead attorney. And, he basically came out and said, well, hey, if they were underage, I'm just going to stick with the law. And basically, they're victims according to the law, right? Now, me personally, I think he gave that answer because it's the politically correct answer to give. But the reality of the situation is that real people are hearing this case, right? This case isn't going to be decided by lawyers. It's going to be argued by lawyers, but it's going to be decided by average, everyday people, right? And as an average, everyday person, I would have a really hard time trying to find someone guilty when the alleged victim knew they that they lied, right? The alleged victim lied, and the alleged victims enjoyed the relationship up until the point it ended, and the parents knew about the relationships, right? So you want me to find a man guilty when these people lied about their age? I'm sorry, I don't think the average person is going to find a person guilty under those circumstances. Again, lawyers argue this case, but the jury is going to decide this case, and the jury is going to be made up of average, everyday people, right? So that's the first reason I think that he's going to walk, is simply because the alleged victims have credibility issues, and I don't think that the average juror is going to send a man to jail when the alleged victims basically lied about the age and their parents knew about the relationship and they were happy with the relationship up until the point when the relationship ended. There's no victim there. People, please, come on, get real, right? Then we also, and I have another talking point here. The victims are trying to get the bag. I honestly think that a lot of the alleged victims are just trying to get the bag. Uh, they're at the point where they can't get anything else out of R. Kelly. But if they actually have R. Kelly locked up, then there's more to gain, right? Because you look at Geronda Pace. Geronda Pace already has made lots of money off of R. Kelly through book deals, so on and so forth. And then you look at Ezreal Clary. Ezreal Clary could potentially get money if R. Kelly goes to jail. And I talk about this in several other videos, but basically, R. Kelly made a promise to her, and he basically promised to take care of her for the rest of her life. And essentially, what happens if R. Kelly is convicted, there would be a post-conviction proceeding. And in that post-conviction proceeding, Azrael would have the opportunity to come back and basically say, well, hey, I had a contract with this man, so some of that money is mine. And before the government is able to take R. Kelly's money, which the government is going to try to do, then she would be able to lay a stake of a claim on some of those monies. And that's if he actually has any money left, right? And of course, everyone knows that if he is actually found guilty, then it's going to make it easier for these people to get the civil suits to get a win against him, right? So, and then you look at the one alleged male victim. Basically, that's a whole joke. When you look at him, he came out and he basically admitted that he had motive, right? He had motive, right? His motive was that he was hoping for a plea deal. He already pled guilty in a case trying to bribe the witnesses. So he pled guilty to that, and he basically said that he's hoping for. He basically said it on oath. He's hoping that the prosecutors are going to give him a plea deal. So that's his motivation for basically testifying against R. Kelly. And I got to tell you, The story that he gave just sounds crazy. It sounds crazy as all hell. I don't believe it. And anyone that's actually following R. Kelly is not going to believe it. And hopefully the jury is not dumb enough to believe it as well. But I think the jury is going to have to see that this man had a plea deal. He has motive. He's going to say whatever the prosecutors want him to say because he needs that plea deal, right? So another reason I think R. Kelly is going to walk is because being controlling is not a crime. A huge part of this case is about R. Kelly being overbearing, about R. Kelly being controlling, about R. Kelly essentially telling his alleged girlfriends not to look at other men, so on and so forth, telling his alleged victims to wear baggy clothes. I've already pointed out to you guys that this is not a crime. And you have tons of people in this world who have relationships where they dictate to their partners certain conditions of that relationship. The extreme version of this is going to be BDSM, whereby you have a submissive person and you have a dominant person, and the dominant person basically makes the rules, so on and so forth. So you have relationships like that, and those relationships are 100% legal. There's nothing illegal about the relationship that R. Kelly had with his girlfriends there, so that's yet another reason that R. Kelly is just simply going to walk. Now, people are trying to say that R. Kelly was abusing, these alleged victims, but honestly, these are just situations, in my personal opinion, where he just got in a fight with his girlfriends. So, I think he's basically going to walk on account of that. And then the other thing that I think uh, the other reason, I'm sorry, I think he's going to walk is because the prosecutors were never able to prove that R. Kelly held people against their will. Now, when you go through the testimony of a lot of these people that say they were trapped in a room and they couldn't leave, they had cell phones. They could have called the police at any time. Some of them testified that the doors weren't even locked and they could have walked out. So to me, that indicates that the person knew that if they left, that the relationship with R. Kelly would be over and they would lose all the benefits of that relationship. And that's why they stayed. They didn't stay because they believed that they were going to be beaten if they left, the room or what have you. They stayed because they didn't want to lose the benefits of the relationship. At least that's what I think, right? It's plain and simple to me. There's no way you can claim that you're locked in the room when you have a cell phone. There's no way you can claim that you're being deprived of food when you have a cell phone. You can always call yourself a restaurant, order up some pizza, some chicken, some hot wings, or something, and have them delivered. As a matter of fact, one of the victims actually testified that she was given food, right? There could have been an odd situation where things got so busy and essentially R. Kelly or his staff forgot to order food for whatever individual. That could have been a possibility. But again, that's not on. If you're not eating, it's not someone else's fault that you're not eating. It's your own fault because again, you have your cell phone. Nobody's responsible for feeding a grown adult. A grown adult is responsible for feeding themselves, right? So none of this makes sense. You have a cell phone, so therefore you can't claim that you were locked away in a freaking room, right? And then another reason I think that R. Kelly is going to walk is because the prosecutors was never able to prove that R. Kelly was involved was with getting the ID for Aaliyah so that she can get the marriage license. When Demetrius Smith, I think that's his name, he came out and testified, and he basically said R. Kelly wasn't around. That's what he said. So one would have to believe that it came down to him and probably another individual who actually was involved with bribing to get the ID so that they can get the marriage license. According to the testimony that was given, R. Kelly is not responsible for that. He wasn't involved in all that. So honestly, when I went through the transcripts, the impression I got is that R. Kelly is actually being taken advantage of because you have all these people pulling the strings, and he's not really familiar. He's not intimate with all the particular details that's going on. For example, with the ordering the plane tickets, and you look at the fact that the alleged victim witnesses lied about their age, and it was never revealed to R. Kelly, but it was revealed to the people who were actually ordering the flights and the hotel rooms for the alleged victims. Uh, at no point in time that, well, in that particular time, R. Kelly wasn't aware of it. He only became aware of the alleged victim's age after it was too late. So again, that goes back to the point that I was making, that jurors with common sense, common average everyday people, are not going to convict someone when the alleged victims lied about their age and the alleged victims were happy with the relationship at that time. And I've watched newscasts where prosecutors come out and they say, well, they give commentary and they come out and say, well, they're not going to focus on the alleged victims, on their behavior. They're going to focus on the bad behavior of R. Kelly. And I just think that's 100% bullshit, because it basically takes two to tango. If one person lies about their age and they create this situation where a man is basically going to go to jail because of it, then that person should be held accountable for their age and not for lying. And not only should they be held accountable for lying, but the person that's actually being put on trial should be able to walk. And as a matter of fact, in the state of Illinois, they have a defense for that, and that's called mistake of age or something of that nature, whereby if a person reasonably believes that another person is an adult, then basically that person has a strong defense. That's the gist of it. And again, R. Kelly reasonably believed that Ezreal Clary was of age because she's at an adult concert, and her mom is actually texting him pretending to be Ezreal, and Ezreal told R. Kelly that she was of age. So none of this makes any sense whatsoever for him to even be charged for this nonsense. And then finally, and most importantly, the government, in my personal opinion, did not prove that R. Kelly was a part of a criminal enterprise. They're doing everything they can to actually get this man. I actually read a post by Malicious Conspiracy, and he essentially said they changed the wording of the charge to say R. Kelly directed people to make criminal acts, and they're trying to make that the actual criminal enterprise. Now, people, you have to be smart and you have to be intelligent. Let's not be stupid, please. Please don't be stupid. The RICO statute was erected so that they can catch crime bosses. Plain and simple. And when you look at a criminal enterprise, you look at an enterprise in which people are making money through illegal activity, right? If you take away the illegal activity, then the enterprise wouldn't make any money, right? So if I had to say there was a formula, I would say that would be it. Illegal activity that basically makes the enterprise money, right? And I think the problem that the prosecutors are having in this case, and that's why they keep changing up the charges, is that R. Kelly, of course, he had an enterprise. He was involved in enterprise. Nobody can deny that. But it wasn't a criminal enterprise. And the prosecutors have to prove that it was a criminal enterprise. And nowhere in in the testimony of the witnesses that was the prosecutors able to prove that it was a criminal enterprise. So R. Kelly, so let me give you an example, right? So let's take a drug dealing enterprise whereby a person is going to buy drugs from a wholesaler. He then takes those drugs, breaks it down, and then he either gives it to people in his criminal enterprise so that they can make money and then give him part of the profits, or he breaks those drugs down, and then he sells those drugs to other people for extra, for double the money. For example, he'll go to the wholesaler, he'll get it for $1, and then he'll go to the street dealers, and then he'll turn around and he'll break those drugs down, and then he'll sell it for $2 or $3. Right? I'm kind of embellishing here. I'm not a drug dealer. I don't know exactly how it goes, but I would imagine it goes like this because at the end of the day, it's business. It's just an illegal business. You're buying for $1 and you're selling for two, right? So that would be a criminal enterprise, a drug dealer who's buying drugs and then he's basically giving it to people in his gang, or he's selling it to street dealers, and then they're going out, they're selling it to individual users, and basically that is going to make up a criminal enterprise. And that the reason it's a criminal enterprise is because they're making money off of criminal activity. That's the reason it's a criminal enterprise. When you look at R. Kelly's case, R. Kelly is making money off his music and off of his brand. He's not making money off of sex. His employees aren't making money off of sex, right? So because of that, it's not a criminal enterprise. He is just simply asking his employees to say, hey, my date is at the door. Can you let her in and basically show it to her room? That's it. That's all it is. And that does not make a criminal enterprise. And I hope the jury isn't shallow enough or stupid enough to basically believe that that constitutes a criminal enterprise. Right? So that's essentially it for this video. Let me know what you think. Do you think I'm off? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I'm just dead wrong? Leave your comments below. Let me know if you agree with me and why, or let me know if you think I'm dead wrong and why. That's it. Please like, share, and subscribe.